Well, a warm welcome to the little Railway Carriage Studio tonight. So glad that you could join us. Tonight, I'm really excited because I've got a number of friends coming to be involved in this event this evening. You're going to meet them as the evening unfolds. One coming from as far away as the Ukraine, another from Montenegro, somebody else a bit closer by in London, all being coordinated by a friend who's in Cardiff, and there's you right there where you are. So a warm welcome and thanks for joining us tonight. This first song, we're singing from the Railway Carriage Studio. This first song, I wrote it riding on a train. I was travelling on this train for a whole week, and it's got that kind of feel about it. It's a bit of a story. We're not travelling so much these days, are we? So maybe you just want to jump in this railway carriage with me and listen to this story. Whining of the brakes that disturbs my sleep as the old train grinds into the midnight station. It's to the whining of the brakes that I move back the curtains to peer outside. With the side of my hand I rub clean the steamy window and watch as the sleepy lights move round. A grey rain-coated figure leans against the dirty carriage and he blocks out half my view. He relights a stubbed cigarette and he tightens his face as he sucks in. Close my eyes and I think of the sunshine. I dream of the hills. I think of the long, tall, dry grass and of lighting a fire as the sun goes down. Train rattles past in the opposite direction and the lights send shadows gliding across my face. There's a shouting on the platform, there's a slapping of wet footsteps, there's a crashing of doors, and we clunk and grind out of the station. And the moonlit towns, they look peaceful tonight. They've been washed by the retreating rain. But I close my eyes and I dream of those warm summer walks and those warm summer talks and of your company. Bit of a ride in a railway carriage for our first song tonight. You know, the real highlight of tonight is that we've got some other friends joining us, as I was saying, as we began a moment ago. There's a guy that I'd love you to meet called Nick Beston. Now, Nick, I met him when I was at college. We were over in New Cross together studying. And we were both playing in a cafe. Now, some of you listening have been involved with Oak Hall expeditions. And we had improvised a cafe using one of the Oak Hall buses in a back street in Lewisham, actually a back street in New Cross. And that's where I met Nick. And we became good friends. And it's because of Nick, actually, that I ever started to record. It's because of Nick that I first went and played in a pub. And everything that I've recorded, I think, has always had Nick on it somewhere. And so I'm really grateful for this friendship that goes back so far, and particularly grateful that tonight we can play you a song together. So welcome, Nick, and thanks for joining us here in the Railway Carriage tonight. This song, it's called This Is For You. The first verse describes perhaps how life was a couple of months ago. The second verse describes perhaps how it is at the moment. But as the refrain comes back and back, it's talking about one who is there, who loves and who waits, one with whom we're created to have a relationship. This is for you, this is for you, this is for you as you sit in your car, drink at the bar, as you ride the train, as you walk in the rain, as you look at your reflection, as you question your direction. It's for you, it's for you. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. Longs to be gracious to you. He rises to show to you compassion. This is for you as you dream alone. Reach for the phone as you think too deep, as you feel your heart leap, as you laugh out loud, as you wow the crowd. It's for you, it's for you. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. He longs to be gracious to you. He rises to show to you compassion. Is for you as you struggle with doubt. Cry out as you hide the pain. Fall down again as you try to hide. As you die inside, it's for you. It's for you. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. He longs to be gracious to you. He rises to show to you compassion. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. He longs comes to be gracious to you. He rises to show to you compassion. This is for you. This is for you. Nick, thank you so much. We're going to have Nick back to play in a few minutes' time, but it's just great to be able to get together and to be able to play like this. You might think, oh, half a moment, if they're playing together, that must mean that it's pre-recorded or that I'm playing with a video of Nick or something like that. But we've got this other friend called Dewi Jones, and you're not going to see his face tonight, but he's the guy who's making it all work and making these signals come round and synchronize up so that you can hopefully hear people playing a duet, even though we're, for some of these songs, miles apart. I'm looking forward to you later also meeting a friend of mine called Michael, and he's going to speak in the interval. I'm going to sing a couple more songs, and then Michael is going to just tell us a story and to really, I think, get us thinking about the biggest things we could be thinking about tonight. This next song, it's called A Hill, and I don't play it all that often live, but this song, it speaks of a place where the most profound event in history took place. There's a hill outside a city. It's a place for losers, waste and dirt. It's a place of execution, of misery, pain and retribution. There's a hill now with a cross raised, a hill where men cry out. Hear shouts of condemnation, of agitated satisfaction, as an anguished figure gasps. And it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. Yeah, it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. From the hill-piercing last words, they ring like Father, forgive. It is finished, cuts gathering darkness and rocks, and tombs begin to quake. And it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. Yeah, it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. But it's a hill of broken curses. It's a hill of bittersweet. It's a hill of liberation, a hill where grace takes her seat. Yeah, a hill where grace takes her seat. 'Cause on this hill the Lord Almighty, He prepares a banquet feast, aged wine, rich food of celebration. 'Cause on this hill He destroyed the shroud that covers every nation. You 'Cause on this hill he swallowed up death forever. And on this hill he'll wipe each tear-stained eye. 'Cause on this hill he removed the disgrace of his people. Yeah, he removed the disgrace that's yours and that's mine. And it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. Yeah, it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. But it's a hill of broken curses. It's a hill of bittersweet. It's a hill of liberation. A hill where grace takes her seat. It's a hill where grace takes her seat. Where grace takes her seat. You know, in that interval, I think Michael's going to tell us more about that moment in history. That moment that takes away that shroud that covers every nation. That moment where death is swallowed up forever. That moment that means that each tear-stained eye can be wiped. I'd love you to meet another friend of mine. This is Marina. Now she's traveling a long way to be with us tonight. So tonight she is in the city of Kiev. So that's in the Ukraine. She plays the violin. You're going to hear her in a moment. We became friends at some events that we were playing together for in Novi Sad in North Serbia. And then we've met at various places over the last years to play together, particularly with a group of friends called Foya. Sometime I'll tell you more about them. But, well, tonight here she is all the way from Kiev. Marina, a big welcome. It's lovely that you can be here. The song we're going to play together is called Lavish. And this song, I actually played it in the last Railway Carriage sessions. And it's a song that speaks of a love that is so big, a love that's pouring over, a love that changes everything. You heard hints about that love in the last song. And here, this song speaks more of that. And after this, Michael is going to speak to us. Lavish love that drives out fear, lavish love embracing near, lavish love, adopting love that calls you child, adopting love pure undefiled, lavish love. His love endures forever, and his faithfulness stands for all time. Forever love untamed by years. From out of this world, love, the life appears. Lavish love, forgiving love dies on a cross. forgiving love might gain his loss, his loss, 'cause his love endures forever, and his faithfulness stands for all time. Yeah, his love endures forever, and his faithfulness stands for all time. Birthing love to last breath, God revealing love conquers death, conquers death. 'Cause his love endures forever, and his faithfulness stands for all time. Yeah, his love endures forever, and his faithfulness stands for all time. Lavish, lavish love, lavish love, lavish love, lavish love, lavish love, lavish love. Marina, thanks so much for coming all this way from Kiev in the Ukraine to play for us tonight. It's wonderful to have you here. Well, let me introduce you to another friend of mine. His name is Michael Otts. Michael, I think you've just come straight from another event, I think.
Yes, I have. That's the beauty of Zoom, that you can travel around the world in one evening. So I've just been interviewing Professor John Lennox in another meeting, which is great, and it's also great to be with you.
Brilliant. Well, Michael, thanks so much for joining us in the Railway Carriage. Really looking forward to your interval.
Oh, thanks, Andy. Oh, it's great to be able to join in this little concert. I've travelled extensively with Andy over the years, and we've had different concerts in different venues, in little underground bars. I think one of my favourite ones was actually in a bar in Hungary, in a little town called Eger, and we sat by the side of the street, and Andy opened up his guitar case and started playing, and we soon had quite a crowd gathered round us in the streets, and it was wonderful, and people were listening into the music. That wasn't until the police came, because apparently one of the neighbouring shops didn't quite like the crowd, but hopefully no one's going to stop the concert tonight, and we hope that you're enjoying it wherever you're listening in from in the world. It's great to have you with us. A number of years ago, there was a submarine that was doing operations just off the US coast, and it came up to surface just a few miles off the coast. But as it did so, it struck another vessel, a Coast Guard vessel, and was badly damaged and sank 120 feet below to the ocean floor. Divers were sent down to see what had happened, and indeed if anything could be done. And eventually they heard the sound of a tapping from inside the hull of this submarine. And as they listened more carefully, they realized it wasn't just any tapping, but it was Morse code. It was a message that was being sent out from these stricken sailors in the submarine. And as they interpreted the Morse code, this is what it said. Over and over again, these words: is there any hope? Is there any hope? Is there any hope? Of course, that was the question they were asking as they found themselves trapped in this desperate situation. But I guess it's the kind of question that maybe we find ourselves asking in different situations in our lives too. Is there any hope? As we look at the global situation we find ourselves in at the moment and the problems, not just of coronavirus itself, but all of the implications that comes from the world that we now live in, is there any hope? As we look at our futures and the uncertainties of our jobs, our careers, our businesses, indeed the very economy, is there any hope? It's a good question to ask, isn't it? I was chatting to a friend of my wife's earlier today. He'd been spending a number of months in his work going through a course to enter into a different role within the company with which he worked. And after several months of incredibly hard work, coronavirus broke out. And all of his hard work counted for nothing. And his future now is uncertain. And he was saying to me, if I'd known that this wasn't going to count for anything, would I have bothered doing all of that work? Surely not. Just a couple of days ago, I was chatting to a good friend of mine whose business is basically going to the wall. And as he reflects on 20 years of his life invested in this business, he says, well, what's the point? All of this effort, all of this time, what does it count for? Is there any hope? Well, I guess the way we answer that question really depends on how we look at the world, doesn't it? At the end of the day, if this world is all there is, if there's no God, nothing beyond this life, no spiritual dimension, then ultimately there isn't any hope, is there? We might spend our lives investing in different things. We may have experiences that are wonderful, indeed joyful at times, but ultimately we may end up asking, like my friend earlier on, what's the point? What's the point of all I do? What's the point of all I work for when ultimately it doesn't count for anything at the end of the day? If death is the end, not just for me, but ultimately for all things, then everything I contribute and everything I do counts for nothing. A man who confronted the implications of this very consistently and brutally was an atheist philosopher of a previous generation called Bertrand Russell. He put it this way. He said, all the labours of the ages and all the devotion and all the inspiration and all the noonday brightness of human genius are destined to extinction. The whole temple of man's achievement must inevitably be buried beneath the debris of a universe in ruins. And then it goes on, only within the scaffolding of these truths, on the firm foundation of unyielding despair, can the soul's habitation henceforth be safely built. I don't agree with Bertrand Russell, but I have to respect his honesty in saying that's where the atheistic worldview will take you. A world where nothing counts at the end of the day, where there is no hope for anything, and certainly no hope for justice. But I want to say, and as we've heard tonight from Andy's songs, there is hope. Because Andy's been giving us a glimpse of a world that's very different to the world that Bertrand Russell viewed. A world that isn't a closed system with nothing more than the physical matter of our bodies and the world around us, but a world that's created by a God who loves us. A world that's gone wrong because we've turned our back on that God and cut ourselves off from the source of life itself. But a God who loved us enough to come into the brokenness, to experience brokenness himself so that we could be reconnected to him, and a God who would conquer death itself in his resurrection from the dead, meaning that there is hope. Hope for us, hope for this world, hope that goes beyond this life, and hope that really can count for something. I've been reading just in the last week, rereading, I should say, C.S. Lewis's beautiful book, The Last Battle. It's his last story in the Chronicles of Narnia. They're beautiful stories, and if you've never read them, I'd really encourage you to do so. And it comes to the end of the last battle, and it seems that there is no hope for Narnia, this beautiful world that the children have been drawn into. It seems that darkness is going to finally be victorious. It seems that death is the inevitable conclusion for all of the characters that we've loved and followed. And just at the moment when it seems darkest, just at the moment when you think that all is lost, instead of finding that Narnia, this wonderful world, is dead, they find themselves in a new Narnia, a Narnia that is transformed, a Narnia that is even more beautiful, even more wonderful than the world that they were in before. And Lewis, as a Christian, was trying to demonstrate in that book something of the Christian hope. See, the Christian hope is not that we float off to a cloud and play harps and go to choir practice for all eternity, but the Christian hope is that one day, if we have come to know and trust in Jesus Christ, then we can enter into a new creation, this world transformed and made new, based on the incredible and historical fact of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It's a wonderful hope. It's not escapism, but it's the wonderful hope that actually what we do in this life matters, and this world is going to be set free one day. And if we know Jesus, we can be part of that too. The message of the Bible says there is hope. There is hope for you, and there is hope for me if we come to know Jesus. One of my other favourite stories is The Lord of the Rings. And there's a beautiful moment at the end of The Lord of the Rings where Frodo, the main character, wakes up and he realises that he's alive. He thought that he had died. He thought everyone was dead. And he looks around and he sees his friends, Samwise and Gandalf. And he says to them this, he says, "Gandalf, I thought you were dead. I thought I was dead." And then he says, "Is everything sad going to come untrue?" And again, Tolkien, as a Christian, allows something of his Christian hope to come through in that, because he says there is a day when everything sad is going to come untrue. There is a day of real hope when wrongs will be put right and what is broken will be mended, never to be broken again. And that's the Christian hope that is held out to us in Jesus. So actually, what's the point? Well, there's a great point to our lives now, because they do count for something and life does last. There is hope if we know Jesus. But maybe you're saying, just before we wrap up, yeah, but isn't that just a pipe dream, an illusion, something in the future? How does that make my life different now? How does that help me now in the midst of the situation that I find myself? Well, can I say this? People who've come to discover the radical, life-changing hope that Jesus brings about through his resurrection are not those who bury their head in the sand and escape the harsh realities of life, simply looking forward to a day when things will be different. The evidence shows us that those who've been gripped by the reality of this story of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection are those that have been most likely to throw themselves into the brokenness and the hurting world that we live in to make a difference, to bring love and compassion and healing and help. They're the people that started hospitals. They're the people that started schools. They're the people that wanted to make a difference. Because this hope in the future also makes a difference to life today. Because we know that life counts for something, what we do today really matters. We can embrace this world with its beauty and its brokenness, and we can live to make a difference in it, in the power that Jesus helps us to enable. So I guess my question to you, if we go back to another song from Andy, is do you know that hope for yourself? Is this a hope that has really changed and transformed your life? Maybe for some of us, that is already the case, and that's a wonderful thing to be reminded of tonight. But maybe you're watching tonight, and actually you don't know that hope. Maybe you've got friends who have that hope, and you've seen the difference it makes in their life, the joy that it gives them, even in the midst sometimes of suffering, but you don't know it for yourself. You've not experienced the way that it's able to change you. We want to say tonight, it can, for you, be life-changing as well. Because this Jesus who lived and died and rose again wants to offer this hope to you as well. But he offers it to us as a gift. He doesn't force it upon us, but we need to choose to receive it. Like any gift, it needs to be given, but it also needs to be received. Why not receive that gift that Jesus wants to give to you. The gift of a fresh start, his forgiveness through his death on the cross. His gift of his presence with you through life, through whatever life holds. He can make the bad times more bearable, but he can make the good times more wonderful. He wants to be with you. And that gift of hope that says that the best is yet to come. And there is a day when he is going to transform all things. And we long for it and look forward to it. And we eagerly wait for that day. Is that your hope? Why not ask Jesus to do that for you? Why not talk to him right now? In fact, why don't we do that? I'm going to just pray a short prayer, and maybe you just want to echo it in your heart or out loud, wherever you are tonight, whichever country you're in or wherever you're sitting, as a way of saying to this God, yes, I want to know you. I want to have this hope. I want to start life lived with you from this moment onwards. If you want to do that, why don't you pray with me? Let me pray. God, thank you. Thank you so much that you care about this world with all its brokenness and pain. Thank you that you care about me too, that you love me. Lord, I'm sorry for the way that I've sometimes kept you out of my life and for the things that I've done that have hurt you. Please come into my life and please forgive me. And please help me to live in the knowledge of your presence with me through this life and with the real and certain hope that you can give me because of what Jesus has done for me. Thank you so much. Help me to know this hope in my life now. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Back to you, Andy.
Michael, thank you so much. Wow, I'm so glad you could share this this evening with us. We're just this song really just kind of leads on from what you've just been saying. I wrote this for a friend of mine, and we were talking about the kind of things we've been talking about together tonight. And this song, it just says, may you know the truth. This is for you. This song is for you. And I'd like to invite another friend to play with me for this song. He's called Danijel Petkovski. He's from Montenegro, so the smallest country, or the newest country in Europe. He's from a city called Niksic there. If you've been involved in listening to some of my music in the past, you'll have come across Danijel because on the most recent release, Rest for Your Soul, he's the guy who's playing the harmonica. You'll be able to find that in various places. So Danijel, a big welcome. Thanks so much for joining us all the way from Montenegro tonight. And this song, well, it's for all of you who are listening tonight, and it's the words, the chorus, are words of Jesus, an invitation, a call. Just tune my guitar, sorry there. Just want to make sure everyone knew it was live. There, this is a drop D song. There we go. So you get that deep drone. Let's try that again. And may you let him set you free. May you find the one you seek. May you hear his voice whisper out, whisper words of peace. Come to me, are you weary and burdened? Take my yoke and learn from me, for I am humble and gentle of heart, and you'll find rest for your soul. You'll find rest, rest for your soul. You'll find rest for your soul. May you see his hands and his pierced feet. May you see the thorns and weep. May you hear his cry echo out, echo, it's complete. Come to me, are you weary and burdened? Take my yoke and learn from me, for I am humble and gentle of heart, and you'll find rest, rest for your soul. You'll find rest, rest for your soul. You'll find rest for your soul. May you see the tomb in the morning light. May you see it gaping wide. May you hear the news ringing out, ringing. He's alive. Come to me, are you weary and burdened? Take my yoke and learn from me, for I am humble and gentle of heart, and you'll find rest, rest for your soul. You'll find rest, rest for your soul. You'll find rest for your soul. You'll find rest for your soul. Daniel, it's so good to be playing with you. Last time I think we were playing together was on the streets of Prague, and a friend of ours called Tom, who is watching tonight, he was the guy who invited us to play there. Well, thanks for coming all the way from Montenegro to be playing for us tonight. It's great. Well, I hope that we'll record some more stuff together soon, because it's a real joy to play together. Well, we're just going to play you one more song before our short railway carriage collaboration closes for tonight. we're going to try and put something on every Saturday night. Sometimes it might just be a 10-minute event like last week. Other times something longer like tonight or 2 weeks ago. But come and float around these, wherever you're watching now, around 8 p.m, 8:15 for the next, each Saturday night. And we'll be putting something on here and talking about these same themes. I mentioned Tom. Tom is right now in Czech Republic with some friends watching, and Tom has got an invitation for anyone who speaks the Czech language. Last time somebody came from Scotland, I think, who spoke Czech to join in the conversation. But I'm going to give you an address at the end of this event where you can just check a web page, and at that web page there's an invitation from Tom to have a conversation in Czech. There's an invitation from Lilia to let her know that you would like one of the biographies of Jesus and a new book that's just come out and been translated. There's another invitation if you're in Serbia where you can just click a link and get in contact with Mariana and with Samuilo, and they would be pleased to send you a new book that has just come out as well. And also, if you're in the UK, then I'd love to get in touch too. If you're intrigued by what Michael has shared tonight and want to respond in some way, perhaps to read more, or perhaps you prayed with Michael tonight and you just want to let somebody know, it would be such a joy to hear that. There's a couple of other links there as well, but I'll give you that address as we close after this last song. Well, I said what a joy it was at the beginning to be able to be reunited with my friend Nick. He is living the closest of all those who have been involved tonight. He's over in South London, about 20 minutes drive from me just here. But before Nick and I play a last song for you, I just want to say thank you to Dewi. He has been engineering tonight. We've been working on preparing tonight and getting the synchronization right since before 4 o'clock UK time. So that's 5 hours ago from now, just to try to get everything lined up. My signal from me is going quite slowly out to you, and then he's got a kind of express way of getting the signal out to the Ukraine and back, so that we end up synchronized together when you hear us. So Dewi Jones, who also is working for the Welsh National Theatre based over in Cardiff, we really appreciate all you do to make these railway carriage sessions happen. So thanks so much. I'm going to retune and put this back up to the traditional E, and Nick and I are going to play a last song that is actually my interpretation of an ancient song. This ancient song is recorded in the Bible actually, and it's written in another language of course, but translated into our language, and it's a psalm that is number 62, and it's written by a person who knows what it is to have found that peace that perhaps we're all longing for, to have found that rest, to have found that relationship that makes everything fall into place, a relationship with the God of heaven, not because he sorted his life out, but because the God of heaven reached down to him. It's called Find Rest. Find rest, oh my soul, in God alone. My salvation and my honor depend on him. salvation. You are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. He's my refuge, He's my mighty rock, and I trust in Him. You alone are my rock, You alone my salvation. You are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. You alone are my rock, You alone my salvation. You are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. God has spoken, we have heard how You, oh God, are strong, and how You, oh God, are loving. You alone are my rock, You alone my salvation. You are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. Nick, thank you so much for joining us here tonight and for playing. It's been great to share the evening with you. Again, thank you so much, Marina, for coming all the way from Ukraine. And we really appreciated Michael's interval. That was perhaps a highlight of the evening. And then Daniel, thank you for playing from Montenegro. Thank you also for joining us tonight, and I hope that on a future Saturday evening we might be able to get together again. We'll try and think of more creative ways to mix things up a bit here from the Railway Carriage. And I hope that tonight, you know, as this evening continues, perhaps as you chat with those around you, that some of these themes that we've been talking about keep resonating. But for now, we're going to say good night and thank you. And there's going to be a screen that comes up now that's got a QR code. You can beep it. If you've got a smartphone, it'll take you to a page that just shares those links I mentioned before that last song. And also there's a web address there if you want to type that in and just want to connect any further tonight. We'd love to keep in touch and continue this conversation. But thank you again, and looking forward to the next time we can get together here in the Railway Carriage. Good night.